Thank you.
Hey guys, we're back. And today on the Pickles and Bacon Show podcast and rewind, we are discussing Hank Williams Sr. Two albums, Hank Williams Sings and Hank Williams Moans, the blues. Now, I have to admit that when I was looking through the catalog for Hank Williams to try to like figure out where to start, what to review or whatever, I was thinking about studio albums, but in my research, I found out that these two particular albums that are considered studio albums are not actually studio albums. The way that we know studio albums as today were like, for example, Britney Spears started out with like Baby One More Time and so on and so on. And then they had like compilations and like greatest hits or whatever. Well, all of Hank Williams and things like that, like they had EPs like that had like 4 or 5 songs and things like that on them. So everything was considered a record. So I just want to put that out there while we're discussing this. So as you know, I like to ask everyone at the beginning of each podcast and everything that we do, Mr. Bacon the Drifter, what do you know about Hank Williams and these particular albums?
Well, geez, where do you want me to begin? Because I love Hank Williams. So, for a lot of you who don't know, other than being a huge Elvis fan, I'm also a huge Hank Williams fan. As far as these two albums go, I never heard these. Like, I've mostly heard a lot of his greatest hit stuff, like Hank's golden hits, or like the greatest hits of Hank Williams, or just something like that. Like, I never heard these two particular album. Hold on. I never heard these two particular albums. Yeah, I got it out. Sorry, words are hard. I never heard these two particular albums until just recently.
Yeah, again, like I said, it was like trying to figure out exactly what was canon, what wasn't. That was the hard part. As far as figuring out where to start to do Hank Williams. Now, as far as me, I don't know a whole lot about Hank Williams apart from, he died when he was 29 and the stuff with his wife, Miss Audrey, which is why I'm named Miss Pickles, by the way. Um, and of course their son, Hank Williams Jr., and all of that. And sidebar, did you know that Hank Williams was 29 when he died? Like, go and look at Hank. Well, I implore every single one of you who is watching right now, go look at the photos of Hank Williams and tell me on what planet this man is in his 20s. Because like when I read that and I was like 29, that was a hard 29. He looks like he's 40 for his whole career. He looked so, and then I looked at pictures of him and Miss Audrey, his wife, when they got married in 1944. They were supposed to be like 21 or 22, and I swear to God, they look like they were 35. Like, where are you guys fucking 21? Honestly.
Wait,
All
what year
right.
did they get married? Because that doesn't sound right.
I think it was 1944. You can fact check that for me. But while you do that, I'm gonna share my screen and discuss these albums and how this started. So, give me a sec. All right. So, this is the information I found about these albums on
Oh
Wikipedia.
shit, no. Oh shit, no. That is right. Audrey Shepard, 1944 to 1952. And then
Um,
Billie Jane Horton from
yeah.
1952 to his passing.
Okay. So, Hank Williams Sings is the debut album by American country music singer-songwriter Hank Williams Sr. It was released by MGM Records in November the 9th, 1951. By 1951, Hank Williams' popularity had soared. Following the chart-topping records "Cold Cold Heart" and "Hey Good Looking," he joined the Hadakal Caravan, a train-transported road show that toured the South in 49 states, one night show schedule. After the tour disbanded, before the shows were completed, Williams returned to Nashville, Tennessee, and in September of 1959, he traveled to Hollywood, being offered a part as the sheriff in Small Girl Town. Ultimately, Williams did not participate in the movie. However, on November the 14th, Williams was invited to the Perry Como Chesterfield All right, let's see if we're on the thing now. Okay. All right, so we had some technical difficulties, so we're just redoing it again. Hold on just. All right, so I'm not sure what you guys were seeing, but I was sharing my screen and talking about Hank Williams Sings. So let's just start where I think we were at. Billboard theorized that the label decided not to release an album with new sides because it would only spread jockey and juke plays too thinly instead of getting the concentrated push on a new single. The LP contains two indisputable Hank Williams classics: the album opener Lost Highway, which was composed by blind Texas honky tonk singer and songwriter Leon Payne, and the gospel standard I Saw the Light, which Williams usually sang to close his shows. And five of the album's 8 tracks were composed by Williams. The only legitimate hit song being Wedding Bells, which hit number 2 in 1949. A Mansion on the Hill failed to make the top 10 in 1948, peaking at number 12, and none of the remaining songs, mostly B-sides, charted at all. Wealth Won't Save Your Soul actually been recorded for Sterling Records and released as Hank's second single before he moved to MGM in 1947. The album was released in 3 formats: a 10-inch LP, a 445 RPM packaged set at a 478 RPM set, and it failed to chart partly because singles rather than LPs were emphasized in country music business due in large part to the valuable jukebox trade. I have no idea what that means, but are you seeing me okay?
Your words are pausing. I don't know what you're saying because you're pausing.
All right, I'm gonna stop. I think it's maybe related to that. But hold on. Can you see me now?
There it is. There it is. I hear you and I see you now.
Okay, well, I'm not sure why it keeps pausing, but anyways, so moving right in to Hank Williams Sings. Obviously, the first song is I Saw the Light, of course, written by Hank Williams. Now, I know this song from Johnny Cash. What do you know about the song I Saw the Light?
As you just said, I know it from Johnny Cash. I also know it from. I think it's been in a couple of movies.
Yeah, I've seen it in some films as well, but I mainly know it from Johnny Cash when he would sing it on stage. As you know, Johnny Cash was a huge Hank Williams fan. I think that I Saw the Light is probably one of Hank Williams' most notable songs. Like, you can know it anywhere, you can hear it anywhere, and you know that that was a Hank Williams song. His vocals on the song are amazing, and I like that in this particular record, when I was listening to it, you could still hear the hiss of the original record. or the machine that was I guess recording the song, which I really liked.
Now, do y'all want to hear something funny? Where I first heard "I Saw the Light" was from Johnny Cash on the show Columbo.
Same, I did too. I remember that episode, by the way. So the second one on this song, of course, we had just talked about it, is Mansion on a Hill. This one was written by Fred Rose. A line I noticed is, as I sit alone in my cabin, I can see your mansion on a hill. Um, Hank's woe is me voice and that wailing yodel that he does. I've always wondered, like, was that a like country staple at that time? Um, in country music where they made that sort of like moaning sound. Do you, what do you think about that?
Most likely, because I've also heard other country artists other than him doing it. Like to mention three that I know, I heard of Hawkshaw Hawkins do it. I heard Patsy Cline do it, and I heard of who was the other guy that she was with that night? Um, oh my god, I the other guy I was with Patsy Cline and Hawkshaw when they went into the great beyond.
Yeah,
I
I
can't
don't
remember the
remember.
guy's name.
I can't remember who was with her, and I haven't done my research that far yet. But I know what you're talking about. I, for some reason, thought this song was different. For some reason, when I first heard it, because I do know what the song is. Um, I don't know. Maybe I feel like I've seen a different or heard a different version of this song. But
I thought
I
it
don't know.
had more guitar to it because this one sounded like it was just him.
Yeah, this one, I noticed that the beat sounds like a slowed version of I Saw the Light. I also noticed that a lot of these songs kind of have the same beat and it's the same playing. Um, I don't know if that was a thing that was in country music at the time where it didn't, where it all kind of sounds the same, but it did kind of sound the same. That, like, literally, I'm convinced that literally he's singing different lyrics to the same backing beat. Like, that's what it sounds like to me. I I don't know why. I don't know why or how, but that's what it sounds like. But let me just check something here really quickly. All right, there we
Talk
go.
amongst yourselves for a second. I gotta check out my taquitos because I'm a
He's
hungry guy.
having a snack.
I
All
I'm
right,
a hungry guy.
so the next one is 6 More Miles. This one was written by Hank Williams, and he says 6 more miles and then I'm leaving my darling. The sound sounded a lot to me like jambalaya. It had the same beat. I also I also noticed that the instruments had the acoustic and the electric slide steel guitar on it. I also noticed that a lot of these Hank Williams songs do not have a drum beat, and it sounds like they are holding the strings of the guitar and like strumming that makes a like light jazz blues sound. I know Deke can hear me, but like, do you agree with that? He's on mute, by the way, but he'll be back here in a minute. Anyways, I also noticed that when we were talking about this, um, when I was listening to this album, I really wanted to know what was going through his head at the time. Like, I noticed that he was having a lot of issues with his wife and their children, and he was drinking a lot because he was sick. He had some kind of spinal injury or some kind of spinal problem that apparently he had been born with. But I always think a lot about what was going on in their lives at the time. But I'm gonna pause while I'm back. So, I was saying just now, while I was talking about this song, I wonder a lot about what was on Hank's mind when all of this was going on.
On what
You know
song?
what I'm saying? It was the song 6 More Miles. Like, I want to know what his influence was when he was writing all these songs, and how much is influenced by, things that were happening with his life and with his mom and all of that. Because it seemed to me like all the women in his life just wanted to control everything. But that's just me. Um, I don't know. Do you know anything about the time, like what was happening exactly at that time frame or anything like that?
Well, it
He's
depends on
paused.
the. Hold on a second. No, because I'm trying to think. Wait, if the timeline. What was this album? 53?
And this was 51, but they
51? Okay, so based around the timeline, I think this was already the time they were gonna start getting divorced, him and Audrey. I think they were already on the outs, and I think she was moving out. I also think
yeah.
this was around the time his mother got sick
Mm.
because of one of the songs on the album that we're gonna talk about here in a minute.
All right. So the next song is Wedding Bells. This one was written by Clyde Boone. Um I noticed that in this song there was a line that said, "I have the invitation you sent me. You wanted me to see you. Change your name." And I was like, and so in my notes I wrote, "Hank, talk to me, dude. Who hurt you? Like, was it Miss Audrey? Cause like it's on site, no cap." Literally in my notes what I wrote while I was listening to the song, because he sounds so bad in this song. Like, I don't think I've ever heard. I think with Hank Williams, he sings in a certain type of style, his yodel and the way he blends his vocals, but it actually sounded like he was crying on this song.
Mm-hmm.
And next, of course, is The Lost Highway, which I think is one of Hank Williams' most recognizable songs. The first line opens with "I'm a Rolling Stone," and "lost for a life of sin, and I have paid the cost." Um, what do you think about this song in particular? I also noticed that it sounded a little bit like a slowed version of the song "Honky Tonkin'."
Well, I have a question.
Hmm.
Just a minute, y'all. I'm eating a popsicle. Do you think he was predicting his death in this song?
Probably.
Because listen to what he says in the song. He says, "I'm a Rolling Stone," and then he says, "I'm on that lost highway." Now,
Yeah.
now, I know there's people now. Everyone in the comments, feel free to dispute me respectfully, but I do know that they say when you're about to check out that you do go down a lost highway. So, do you think he was already seeing it?
I think so. I think that he was getting sick, and that with all his health problems, and then with this Dr. Feelgood that came in his life and was giving him these drugs, because he didn't want to get the surgery for his back. I think that he was protecting his death, and I really don't think that he anticipated to live that long either. I mean, because you have to think about that back in those days. I don't really think anybody really anticipated to live beyond 40, because your lifespan, especially with people in the country, they were coal miners, they were farmers, and they worked hard. They worked to the bone. Like, they worked in a different way that we can never imagine working today. And some of them worked harder than we would ever know, or that we would even put up with, by the way. So, um, and then as far as, the things with his mom and Miss Audrey, and then you also have to realize there was Hank Jr. as well to like think about, and I really don't even think that he had a handle on that as well. But I think that he was protecting his death in the song.
And another
Um,
question that I have is, how old was Hank Jr. when Hank Sr. passed? Because he couldn't have been that old. He had to be like at least 2 or 3.
I think so. I don't remember. I think Hank Jr.'s birthday is in 1949.
I'm fitting to check. I'm fitting to fact check. Go ahead.
So the next one is "I've Just Told Mama Goodbye." This one was written by Curly Kinsley. Um, this song really sounded like a Carter family type of song. It had that sort of like feel like, "Will the circle be unbroken?" And of course, Hank's yodel in the song, it sounded like there's again, I say it all over again, it sounds like he's moaning in these songs and like wailing. And I'm not really sure again if this is a country thing that was started at that time, but I noticed that Hank does it a lot. And I don't know if he's doing it or incorporating it into the song because he was in a lot of pain from standing on the stage for so long. But that's just me. Um, so
Okay,
there's
fact
that.
check. Okay, so fact check. Checked. So Hank died in 53, right? If I'm not mistaken, he died in 53. So
Yeah.
from 1949 to 1953 is 4 years. So Hank Jr. wasn't that old when his dad died.
No, he was like 3 or 4.
He was four. He was 4.5.
All right, so the next song is Wealth Won't Save Your Soul. This one was written by Hank Williams. Again, the yodel and the whine, the vocal on this one was strong. And this one I could hear the acoustic and the steel guitar and a fiddle somewhere playing in the background, which is fairly common in a lot of the Hank Williams catalog where you hear the steel guitar and all of that. And then the last song on this album was A Home Without Love, which for these songs being like compilations, um, this one was pretty good. This one was written by Hank Williams. He says, "Why oh why would we keep trying? A house without love is not a home." Um, I feel like this one was inspired by his divorce. Um, you can this one I noticed actually did have a drum beat, which I don't know why. Do you know why drums were not a popular instrument on country music or on albums prior to like rock and roll?
I do know why. Because a lot of the country artists couldn't play on the Grendel Opry at that time with drums.
Why?
It's I don't know. It's even in the Buddy Holly story. If you listen to the Buddy Holly story, they even say that in the thing where he's recording That'll Be the Day, and they say they don't even allow drums in the Grendel Opry.
That's so weird. All right, so that concludes Hank Sings. So, we're gonna do an honorable mention. There was an album that came out in 2011 called The Lost Notebooks of Hank Williams. And basically, it was discovered these old songs that Hank had written but never finished. And so they were given to 11
To
popular
those of you who don't
artists.
know what the album looks like,
And one of the songs was sung by my bae, my true love, my forever, my Jack White. It's called You Know That I Know. And let me tell you something, this song gives everything it should give. Like, I can hear it in the back of my mind. Jack's vocals, I don't know how he does this, but his vocal stem in the song sounds like it could have been someone on Hank's direct bloodline, like either him, Hank Williams, Hank Jr., or Hank the Third singing, but it literally sounded like one of them were singing, and he's like, "You know that I know that you ain't no good." And one particular line always strikes me. He's like, "The last time I saw you, your pretty hair was red, but today I see that you've got black hair on your head." And I'm like, Jack, who are we talking to? Because the beef is freaking real. What did you think about this song when you first heard it?
I thought it was a Jack White song, to be honest with you. And then when I heard it, I I right away knew when I heard that lyric of "Last time I saw you, your pretty hair was red." I was like, he's talking about Audrey, isn't he?
Oh, for sure. For sure. He's talking about his wife. All right, you guys. So that was Hank Williams sings.
Oh,
And
look, there was
then,
that one time that Loki manipulated the timeline and became Hank Williams.
oh yeah, dude, that should have been in the show. Like, dude, if you saw the first season of Loki, which it was hard for me to get through because I'm not an Owen Wilson stan,
I can't stand
but
his
like,
voice. It's not him. I just can't stand his voice.
I
The way
can't
he talks.
stand the
He's
sound of
like,
his
he goes,
voice.
dude, and like the way that he talks, like he just is fucking annoying. I'm sorry. Like other than him being Lightning McQueen, I'm sorry, I can't stand his voice.
Yeah. So now we're getting into Hank. What's it called? Hank Williams moaning the blues. Um, I'm very curious to hear other blues records from around this time from like black artists. Also, I we are gonna have a Robert Johnson episode, by the way, because I cannot not do a Robert Johnson episode. But stay tuned for that. I'm gonna try to get through this as fast as possible because I want the Bacon to reboot the internet modem. So the first thing is "Moaning the Blues." This one was written by Hank Williams. It's a very fast-paced song. The moan in this one kind of reminds me of "I Saw the Light" as well as the beat. Um, Thoughts on "Moaning the Blues"? Do you know this song from anywhere else? Have you heard this song before?
This album was new to me because half of these songs in here, other than like two of them, hold on, let me bring up the album because I forgot which two. But there's like a couple of songs in here. There's like only two that I know. All the rest, I was like, I've never heard any
Yeah.
of these.
I feel like I'd heard this song before, but I can't remember where. But I knew that "Moaning the Blues." Like I'd heard that
And
part.
I don't think it was him that I heard singing. I think it was somebody else.
I honestly think I may have seen that in the movie with Tom Hiddleston. Um, but anyways, moving on. The next thing was "I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry."
Oh yeah, that's one of
Um,
the ones I know.
Yeah, I know that one for sure. That one was written by Hank, of course. The opening of that song has that "Hear That Lonesome," and I noticed that these words when he sings them, they're sort of drawn out like "Hear this lonesome whip," or well, like sorry you guys, I know I'm terrible at singing, but anyways, he really draws out the vocals in the opening part of this song. Again, this is something that I could quintessentially know. That was a Hank Williams song. Um, Anyways, the next thing is "My Sweet Love Ain't Around." This one was also written by Hank Williams. This one also had a Carter family feel to playing. I noticed the steel guitar sounds like a train whistle in this one. Um, a lot of them also sound like the train whistle. Um, Sorry. Um, the next one is "Honky Tonk Blues."
Another one I've heard.
That one I've heard before. That one is written by Hank. This one had a lot of hits from the record. You could hear everything so clearly on this song, like it was like you're standing right there next to the record player. Number 5 is probably the most covered Hank Williams song. Like I've heard so many versions of the song, but it's "Lovesick Blues." That one is written by Cliff Friend. Again, this is probably one of the most famous Hank Williams songs. Like everyone has covered this song.
Second famous. Second famous. There's another one that's more famous than this one.
Which one?
Jambalaya, crawfish
Well,
pie,
yeah,
filet gumbo.
Jambalaya is probably his most famous song, but I think everyone knows "Lovesick Blues."
Oh, without
Um,
question, but I'm just saying that this is like his second popular song because like everyone knows Jambalaya. Like I guarantee you, 9 times out of 10, if you ask anyone about Hank Williams, the first thing they're gonna mention is either one of two songs. They're either gonna mention Lovesick Blues or they're gonna mention Jambalaya.
yeah, most likely. The next thing was "The Blues Comes Around."
Great song.
This one was a great song. The title also reminded me of Johnny Cash. Johnny Cash was also heavily influenced by Hank Williams, so I noticed that a lot of writing styles were the same. This one was a fast song, and I only ever heard this song on this album. I don't think I've ever heard it like on any other compilations. Um, the next one was "I'm a Long Gone Daddy." I feel like I've heard this one before, but I can't remember where I heard it. I think
Okay,
it
I
might have
heard
been.
something similar to this one from Waylon Jennings, who also was a huge Hank fan. Now, if y'all have ever heard the song "Only Daddy That'll Walk the Line," that's where he got the idea for this song from.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I feel like I've heard this song, but I think I heard it in a movie somewhere, and I can't remember what it was, and I can't remember if it was a Hank Williams movie. And then the next thing was "The Long Gone Lonesome Blues." This one was written by Hank Williams. Again, the moan and the yodel on this one are very prominent. I couldn't hear a lot of guitars. I noticed that a lot of the instruments sometimes are overshadowed by his vocals. Um, but that's what's expected on these country records. The next one is "Low Down Blues." This one was written by Hank. Now the sound quality on this one was awful. It sounded kind of muffled and like you were in the background, kind of like the master might have been messed up at some point.
Wait, hold on, wait,
But
I'm lost. Where are we? I'm lost. Where are we?
we're on number 9, Low Down Blues.
Okay, I'm sorry because I got lost. Okay, go ahead.
Anyways, the moan on this one was kind of awful. I had to listen to it with headphones on because I was like, I don't know what is going on there. But anyways, that one was that. We're on number 10 now. Someday You'll Call My Name. That one was written by Gene Branch. This one is a slow guitar ballad. It's literally only Hank and the guitar singing and playing on that one. Very acoustic. We got two more. The last one is called Alone and Forsaken. Um, this one is a subtle difference from the other songs on this record. I feel like this one could have been a gospel song or maybe a gospel song. I'll have to look back into that one and see if that's on his gospel albums because I know that Hank has some gospel songs as well.
I don't think it is because I've heard most of his gospel stuff. I don't think it is.
Yeah. Then there it's probably not. But and then the last one on this album was Wary Blues from Waiting. This one was written by Hank Williams. Again, he's only accompanied by the guitar on this song. What did you think about this overall album?
Honestly, I was a little taken aback by it because, like I said, there was only like maybe 2 or 3 songs on this album that I'd heard. Everything else was all new to me because they don't hardly release any of these songs on like compilations. They only release all the same ones. So this album was like a new experience for me. Like I thought it was like I would give it maybe a 5.5 out of 10. To be honest
Yeah,
with you,
I would probably give both of these albums probably like a 4 or a 5. I can agree with that. Because I think the other songs are far superior and have better sound quality. I mean, even the Mother's Best Flower Show compilations have way more better songs than these two albums. It's clearly apparent that this was a money grab sort of album to get uh to have something to release when he went to Hollywood, as I had discussed earlier. um, would I listen to these again? Probably not, because I have my own Hank Williams playlist that has all the songs that I like. Will we discuss those later? Yes, probably. In closing, Deke, Mr. Bacon, what do you want to say to us in closing?
just said I liked it. I like this album, but like I said, I'm giving it a 5.5 out of 10. So
Same. All right, you guys, that was Hank Williams Sings and Hank Williams Moaning the Blues. We are going to be back in about 30 minutes with our Mildred Pierce discussion with our special guest, and we will see you then, okay? Bye now.